Hello, this is Kirsten Bullock, founder of the Nonprofit Academy. Welcome to this free fundraising planning training series. Through the training, coaching, and consulting programs we offer, I work with nonprofit leaders who struggle with raising more money, getting their boards involved, and increasing their visibility. What separates me from other nonprofit consultants is that I specialize in working with small to mid-sized organizations. This means that I've learned lots of grassroots and bootstrap strategies that can help you gain traction and reach your goals faster. Before we jump into fundraising planning, you might be wondering, what makes Kirsten an expert? Why should I listen to what she has to say? For those who haven't met me personally yet, I'd like to share just a little bit about me. When I was growing up, I didn't dream of becoming a professional fundraiser. I'm pretty sure I didn't even know that it was a possibility. But I was introduced to nonprofits from a very young age. I spent about 10 summers from age 2 to age 12 at a camp for kids with physical disabilities. My dad was the camp director, my mom was the camp nurse. You can see them here, along with me in my mom's arms. That experience, combined with having a brother with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, had a profound impact on my life. It taught me to get to know people on the inside rather than making assumptions about them based on what we can see. And it taught me that there are lots of little ways that we can each make the world a better place. And for me, choosing a career working with nonprofits was a great way to do that. My first fundraising position was as the grants manager at a hospital foundation in Orlando, Florida. After taking a short break to complete my master's in business, I returned to nonprofits as the development director for a community health center. It was there that I really experienced the thrill of growing a development program from the ground up. In a 3-year time period, we went from raising about $200,000 to over $1.4 million. Since then, I've had the honor and privilege to work with dozens of organizations in various capacities, ranging from small local startups to 3 different multi-million-dollar organizations that were operating on an international level. These have included ministries, associations, social service agencies, and healthcare organizations, among others. Chances are, I've worked with an organization very similar to yours. During this training series, we'll be focusing in on fundraising planning. And before the end of our week together, I'm going to show you some different ways that we might be able to work together to help you get results faster and work together more personally. In this first section of the training, we're going to talk about 3 general life and business success principles. And these are ones that I learned from my brother Fritz, who I already mentioned. He had Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and he passed away about 10 years ago. But he definitely had a profound impact on my life and on other people that I know. So whenever I can, I like to share information about what I learned from him. So these are 3 success principles that I learned from my brother Fritz. If you're familiar with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, you know that it's a slow degeneration of the muscles that happens over a period of several years. So my brother had started tripping and falling really easily when he was about 5 years old. It took a couple years, but he was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy. And my father had decided that Fritz was going to be one of the people to walk the longest of anybody who had this disease. So he would make my brother walk every single night. And he was 7 years old, didn't want to, grumbled. But the whole idea of keeping putting one foot in front of the other was a theme that he carried on throughout his life. And even when he was confined to a wheelchair, that would be the greeting that my father and my brother would have on the phone together. How are you doing, Fritz? My dad would ask, and he would answer, well, I'm putting one foot in front of the other. And in our work, we can use that principle to continue moving in some direction. Sometimes things might not work. Sometimes we might get frustrated, but we need to keep on moving forward because the other option is, of course, moving backwards, and we certainly don't want to do that. So in your work with fundraising, I hope, too, that you're able to keep putting one foot in front of the other. As muscular dystrophy started to slow him down, Fritz ran into some other obstacles that he hadn't really anticipated. Muscular dystrophy, while it really attacks the body, it leaves the brain and the mind completely intact. So Fritz was very, very smart, to the extent that at one point he realized that it was wearing him out too much to use the whole keyboard at once, so he reprogrammed it so that he only needed half of the keyboard. There were a lot of little tricks that he would do just like that. And when it came time for him to go to college, there were some vocational advisors who said that he really wasn't college material. They told him that he couldn't graduate, he wouldn't be able to get gainful employment. They tried to enroll him in a couple different trade programs, and Fritz really didn't want that. He really wanted to get a college degree. So he persisted, proved everybody wrong, and here he is graduating from the University of Central Florida in 1995. And he graduated with honors with a finance degree. So the theme in this that I follow is don't give up. Whatever it is that we're striving for, whatever it is that we know could and should happen for the people that we serve, for the organizations that we're working with, whatever it is, don't give up. And the third success principle that I learned from Fritz that I'm going to share with you today is that you have a purpose. You individually have a purpose for the organization that you're working with, or advocating for, or volunteering with. You have a purpose. My brother Fritz, he did graduate from college, and he did work for a year in a local hospital, but got a pink slip shortly after he reached his 1 year anniversary. And so at first he was really discouraged, and he tried to fill his time with lots of things. And he finally decided to start a nonprofit. And it was a shared living home for young adults with physical disabilities. And this was Moving In Day. They housed, I guess it was about 3 or 4 people in that house. They shared living expenses, shared the cost of a attendant to provide care for the residents. And so their combined costs were a lot less than they would have been otherwise. But that was my brother's dream, and he was able to realize that. I guess that opened, this picture was from April 2001. So, Move-In Day, and he knew that he had a purpose. As a Christian, I believe that purpose comes from God, but you might be in a different faith or have a different experience entirely. That's okay. The important part for me is that you know that you do have a purpose. So that's it for today. Those are our 3 success principles. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. Don't give up, and remember that you have a purpose. Over the course of this 7-day training period, we're going to be covering a lot of things related to fundraising. We're going to be talking about the fundraising funnel tomorrow. On day 3, we'll be talking more about segmentation and how important that is for growing your fundraising program. Day 4, we're talking about an essential gift fundraising planning tool. It's the gift range chart. If you haven't seen one of these before, I think you'll really enjoy it. And if you've been in the field for a while, you've probably seen this before. Maybe I'll share some things that are new to you related to that. Day 5, we'll talk about Pareto's 80-20 principle. And day 6 is going to be all about your one-page fundraising plan. Day 7, we'll talk about what your next steps are and where you'll go from here. So I look forward to sharing all this information with you over the next 7 days, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Thanks. Talk to you soon.